brother right here from day one. We used to wake up and, damn, pause, but like, just back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the frosted flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented.
Diddy had been trying to get to Bieber for a minute, and his management was backing him off. But it wasn't until Usher took over management and had guardianship and gave temporary guardianship to the diddler for 48 hours. Think about that. He had already been to the hospital. That situation that Gene was talking about. And you still took Bieber there. But you got custody of him first. Diddy had already tried. They wouldn't let him. Actually, someone made reference to the fact that Diddy trying to get at Bieber the way he was trying to get at Bieber was looking a little predatory. And then Usher came in and discovered it and managed him and got custody of him and promised to look after him. And then he sent him to the diddler.
Cassie had evidence that Kim Porter gave her. So what was in Kim's book? You want to hear it? Here it go. Now, I cannot confirm or deny what's in this book, but ain't nobody fit Natasha K. Mead. So in this book, it detailed his relationships with men, footage of those encounters. It had the names of the men he slept with, a disease. Allegedly, Diddy giving Usher a disease.
And it's a lot of stuff that Mace and Usher know that they ain't telling about Diddy. There's a lot of stuff that they know. Can you imagine, bruh? Can you really imagine?
What you mean by Usher, though?
Usher used to stay with Diddy, too. When he was...
What if I told you that Usher, yes, that Usher, may not have been just another victim in Diddy's twisted empire, but a participant? A name that once symbolized talent and charisma is now tangled in whispers of manipulation, grooming, and even possible complicity. For years, fans believed he was swept into Diddy's world as a young teen, but explosive new allegations suggest he may have played a much darker role, allegedly holding the camera while Freakoffs went down, allegedly handing over Justin Bieber to Diddy, and possibly being the recruiter, not the rescued. With Diddy's legal world collapsing and the feds circling, Usher's name is surfacing again, and not in the way anyone expected. This is more than just celebrity drama. It's a deep dive into a disturbing network of silence, power, and betrayal. And if these claims are true, the consequences could be explosive. We've been asking all the wrong questions about Usher. For years, the narrative has cast him as the child prodigy, the fresh-faced teen taken under Diddy's wing. Thrust into a world of flashing lights, Hollywood excess, and disturbing rumors. But a new voice has emerged, and it's not a conspiracy theorist or anonymous blog. It's Don Richard, former Donny K member and a bad boy insider, dropping bombshell receipts that could flip this story on its head. According to Don, Usher wasn't just some wide-eyed kid accidentally caught in the crossfire of Diddy's notorious lifestyle. No, she claims he was there. Not in the hallway, not outside the room, but inside, present at the now infamous Freakoffs, behind the camera, watching, recording, maybe even helping. That innocent image? Shattered. Don's revelations have sent shockwaves through social media, forcing fans and skeptics alike to reevaluate everything. Was Usher a victim of proximity, or was he complicit in the machinery? If he was just a bystander, why was he allegedly holding the camera? Why didn't he speak up then or now? And here's where it gets even messier. Sources close to the federal investigation tell us that Usher's name is now floating in sealed testimony. Agents aren't just looking at Diddy anymore. They're combing through past associates, witnesses, enablers. Anyone who might have played a role, however silent, in keeping the machine running. This isn't about guilt by association. This is about accountability, about silence that protected predators, and about how someone once seen as collateral damage might have known, and seen far more than we ever imagined. The world saw Usher as the golden boy. But what if the truth is a lot darker? Stay tuned. because this investigation is far from over. Let's rewind the clock to the early 90s. Usher was just 13 years old, a baby-faced R&B prodigy with a golden voice, freshly signed and already showing signs of stardom. But instead of being protected, mentored, or eased into the industry, he was shipped off to live with Sean Diddy Combs, a 24-year-old rising mogul with a reputation that even then had people whispering behind closed doors. Yes, Usher actually lived with Diddy, not in a guest house, not temporarily while touring. He moved in at 13. On paper, it looked like mentorship, but behind the scenes, it raised eyebrows even back then. Diddy wasn't exactly a clean-cut role model. He was already notorious for throwing wild parties, keeping questionable company, and cultivating a lifestyle steeped in excess, secrecy, and power plays. Industry insiders joked that his homes weren't studios, they were labs for breaking down boundaries. The kind of place where grown men ran things with zero accountability, and young artists were expected to keep up or disappear. So why was a barely teenage Usher living under Diddy's roof? To this day, neither man has offered a real explanation. But the timeline is there. The receipts are there. And if you listen closely to interviews from that era, you can hear the unease in Usher's voice. In one resurfaced clip, Usher laughs nervously when asked what it was like living with Diddy, saying there was always girls around, a lot of girls. But he was 13. Why were there girls around a child in the first place? And here's where the red flags turn into flashing alarms. Diddy has long been accused, both in court documents and whispered rumors, of preying on vulnerable young men. The lawsuits, the hush money, the sudden silences from former protégés. And in the middle of that timeline stands Usher, barely old enough to drive, soaking in a world no child should have been exposed to. There have been long-standing rumors that Diddy groomed boys under the guise of mentorship, that his so-called boot camps were just fronts for control, coercion, and, allegedly, something much worse. And while Usher was never publicly linked to any of the explicit allegations, his presence in that house, at that age, is becoming harder and harder to ignore. Was Usher just a wide-eyed kid getting a front-row seat to the industry? Or was he being groomed, primed, and pulled into something darker? Either way, it wasn't just a sleepover. It was an introduction to Diddy's world. And some are now asking whether Usher ever truly left. This isn't just about one man's downfall. It's about a decades-long machine finally unraveling. Because when you zoom out from the headlines, the lawsuits, and the viral clips, what you see isn't chaos. You see a system, a network. And at the center of it, holding the strings for years, has been Sean Diddy Combs. Cassie was the first to crack the silence in a way that couldn't be ignored. In her explosive lawsuit, she painted a chilling portrait. A young singer manipulated, isolated, and allegedly trafficked across state lines. And while the case was quietly settled within 24 hours, it opened the floodgates. Because Cassie wasn't just telling her story, she was unlocking a pattern. Then came the whispers, louder now, about Kim Porter, the mother of Diddy's children. The woman who, just before her sudden death, was allegedly preparing to speak out. Friends close to her say she knew too much, that she had kept journals, that she had seen the inner workings of Diddy's empire, and was preparing to go public. But before she could, she was found dead, suddenly, shockingly, and under circumstances that have never fully added up. And then there's Donity Kane, once Diddy's pet project, now one of his most vocal regrets. The girl group's breakup wasn't just about creative differences. It was about control, exploitation, and emotional manipulation. Dawn Richard, one of its members, has now publicly alleged that Usher, yes, Usher was present during some of Diddy's infamous freak-offs. Not just present, but recording. The question now isn't whether Diddy created a toxic environment. It's how far his reach extended and how many people helped keep it all quiet. But here's the part the mainstream media won't tell you. This isn't just about celebrity gossip or civil lawsuits. This is a federal investigation that has been quietly building for over 10 years. Court documents from as early as 2013 mention sealed depositions, offshore accounts, and gag orders surrounding Diddy and his business dealings. Whistleblowers have come forward, some recanting under pressure, others vanishing from the public eye. The feds aren't just looking at one man. They're looking at a potential criminal enterprise. Allegations of racketeering, human trafficking, money laundering, a network of enablers, handlers, and silent partners who allegedly helped Diddy operate in the shadows while presenting a polished, mobile persona to the world. And now, with raids on his homes in LA and Miami, it's clear the government is no longer playing defense. They're building a case, brick by brick, testimony by testimony. And the people around Diddy, former protégés, ex-girlfriends, managers, are either lawyering up or preparing to talk. Because this isn't just the story of a music mogul falling from grace. It's the story of a kingdom built on silence. And the walls are finally starting to talk. There's a name that keeps coming up, softly, almost like a ghost in the machine. But make no mistake, Kim Porter may be gone, but her story is far from silent. In fact, it may be the ticking time bomb that finally brings everything crashing down. Because before her sudden, suspicious death in 2018, Kim Porter wasn't just raising Diddy's children. She was documenting everything. And not just in passing notes or vague journal entries. No, Kim was allegedly writing a memoir. A tell-all. A manuscript that was reportedly near completion. And it wasn't just her side of the story. It was the story. The drugs, the surveillance, the hidden pregnancies, the celebrities caught in the web. And most damning of all, she allegedly named names. Whispers of this memoir turned into screams when a viral email, allegedly leaked from her publisher, circulated online. The email claimed Kim had compiled first-hand evidence, including video footage, explicit photographs, and medical records. And here's where the temperature drops. The email claimed Kim had documented Diddy's sexual encounters with men. One name stood out like a siren in the smoke. Usher. Yes, the same Usher who once lived with Diddy as a young teen. According to that email, Kim had private footage of their interactions. It wasn't just hearsay. It was on tape. But it gets darker. The same leak alleges that Kim discovered she had contracted an STD. And according to her own documentation, she believed it came from Diddy, and that he had knowingly exposed not just her, but other women in his orbit. She was furious, not just hurt, betrayed. And that rage, that desire to break the silence, is reportedly what drove her to finally put pen to paper. And here's the part that chills even the most jaded insiders. Kim Porter allegedly never kept that footage in one place. She made copies. She stored backups. And before her death, she reportedly entrusted key materials to someone she trusted. Someone who had been through the same hell. Someone with her own legal battles brewing. That someone? Cassie Ventura. Yes, that Cassie. Sources close to the investigation now believe that part of Cassie's explosive lawsuit, the one that was mysteriously settled within 24 hours, may have been bolstered by evidence from Kim's private archive. Photos, contracts, digital backups. Cassie didn't just come with a story. She came with proof. And while the public may never see the full files, those who've glimpsed them say it's the kind of thing that could sink an empire. Which begs the question, did Kim Porter really die of pneumonia? Or did she die knowing too much? Because just days before her death, Kim was reportedly preparing to fly to New York to finalize the publishing deal. Friends say she was in good spirits, focused, ready. Then, suddenly, she was gone. No warning, no symptoms, just silence, and a trail of unanswered questions. One publisher insider said it best. Kim wasn't trying to go viral. She was trying to survive. But now, the story she didn't live to tell may become the very weapon that brings the whole operation down. The unfinished memoir, the footage, the STDs, the names, the timeline. It's no longer a conspiracy theory. It's a case file. And the ghost of Kim Porter? She's not done talking. It was supposed to be a feel-good story, a music industry fairy tale. A young, bright-eyed Canadian teenager discovered on YouTube, mentored by an R&B superstar, and launched into global fame. But behind the rise of Justin Bieber lies a much darker narrative, one that's only now surfacing. And at the center of it, Usher and Diddy. A bombshell allegation has now shaken the industry to its core. Usher didn't just mentor Bieber. he allegedly delivered him. According to new whispers from industry insiders and anonymous former staffers, Usher may have helped broker access between Sean Diddy Combs and the then underage Justin Bieber, framing it as a business opportunity, while quietly setting the stage for something far more sinister. Let's rewind. In 2008, Justin Bieber was just 14 years old when Usher and Scooter Braun took him under their wings. But what most people forget, or conveniently ignore, is that Diddy was also in the picture. Old footage shows Bieber spending time at Diddy's parties, including one infamous clip where a visibly uncomfortable teen Bieber is promised a Lamborghini when he turns 16. It was played off as a joke at the time. But now, in the current climate, with federal raids on Diddy's homes and lawsuits piling up, it no longer feels like a punchline. It feels like a warning, and it gets more disturbing. According to these new allegations, Usher may have co-signed temporary guardianship agreements during Bieber's early rise to fame. These informal arrangements, buried deep in the legal gray zone of entertainment law, gave handlers, not just Scooter Braun, but others, broad access to Bieber's time, travel, and personal life. The word insiders are using is managed, but not in the usual sense. We're talking about a network of adult men controlling the whereabouts, security, and even privacy of a teenage boy with virtually no parental oversight. And here's the key detail. During that critical window, Diddy allegedly became a mentor figure to Bieber, arranging private trips and off-camera meetups that were never fully disclosed to the press. One now-deleted social media post even showed Bieber at Diddy's Miami compound. In another clip, Bieber jokes about being passed around by older men in the industry, an offhand comment that now lands with a gut-wrenching chill. So why does this matter now? Because if these allegations are true, if Usher knowingly helped facilitate that access, then this isn't just about poor judgment. It's about complicity. It's about handing over a minor to a man who's now being investigated for trafficking and coercion. And while no one is directly accusing Diddy of abusing Bieber, the implication is devastating. That a vulnerable teenager was placed in close proximity to someone now facing multiple sexual assault and trafficking lawsuits, and that one of the people who made it happen was someone he trusted, Usher. The fallout could be catastrophic. Usher is still a beloved figure, fresh off a triumphant Super Bowl performance and a Las Vegas residency. But if he's found to have enabled this, even indirectly, his legacy may be forever tainted. And as for Justin Bieber, he's remained quiet. But in recent years, he's spoken cryptically about past trauma, anxiety, and being manipulated by adults in his early career. He's never named names. But maybe he won't have to. Because if the dots are finally being connected, and if receipts exist for these guardianship-style arrangements, then this could explode into one of the most high-profile child endangerment scandals the music industry has ever seen. It's no longer just about what Diddy did. It's about who helped him. And Usher? He may have to answer for more than anyone ever imagined. For years, Don Richard was seen as just another talented face in Diddy's musical empire, a standout from Donny Kane, a star of Making the Band, a voice with power and poise. But now, she's become something else entirely, a witness, a survivor, and possibly the key to unlocking a deeper, far darker truth that spans decades. In newly unearthed court documents and explosive legal leaks, Don Richard has come forward with allegations so disturbing. They mirror the worst claims against Diddy, claims of grooming, coercion, and psychosexual control. And according to her camp, this wasn't just manipulation. This was a system, a blueprint, one that repeated itself over and over, woman after woman, star after star. And it all starts with control. Dawn alleges that from the moment she entered Diddy's world, she was not treated as a collaborator, but as property. Contracts were used like shackles, binding her to Bad Boy with terms that bled her dry while isolating her from family, legal advisors, and other musicians. Diddy allegedly dictated everything, where she lived, how she dressed, who she could date, and even when she could leave her hotel room. Surveillance wasn't just implied, it was enforced. According to Dawn, even her phone calls were monitored, with assistants reporting back to Diddy in real time. But the most chilling revelations center around what insiders call freak-offs. These events, previously dismissed as rumors or industry exaggeration, are now being described in painful detail. Private parties held at mansions, yachts, and remote villas where alcohol and party favors flowed freely and boundaries were methodically erased. Dawn claims these were not consensual gatherings. They were staged performances of power. Women were allegedly flown in, some unaware of the nature of the event, then pressured into sexual situations while phones were confiscated and security guards stood watch. And Diddy wasn't acting alone. Dawn's lawsuit implicates several unnamed male celebrities who were allegedly present during these freak-off events. But one name keeps coming up: Usher. According to Dawn's timeline, Usher was present at multiple gatherings where young women, often intoxicated or under the influence of unknown substances, were encouraged or outright coerced into engaging in sexual activity, sometimes filmed without their consent. Usher, while never directly accused of abuse in Dawn's filings, is described as an accessory to the atmosphere, someone who witnessed everything and never intervened. One source claims that he played the role of a safe face, someone whose celebrity masked the depravity behind the scenes. Dawn also alleges that Diddy used fear as a tool of obedience. She was allegedly threatened with financial ruin, blackballing, and even violence if she spoke out or left the group. At one point, she claimed she was cornered in a hotel suite where Diddy screamed at her for over an hour while several male associates, Usher among them, remained in the adjacent room, hearing every word, but doing nothing. They all knew, she allegedly told a confidant. They watched it happen. They were part of it. And the pattern isn't isolated. From Cassie Ventura to Kim Porter, from Aubrey O'Day to Dawn Richard, the echoes are loud. Control, surveillance, sexual exploitation, and the use of fear as a leash. Dawn's lawsuit doesn't just expose Diddy. It paints a portrait of a culture, one where power protected predators and silence was enforced through contracts, threats, and trauma. Now, with federal agents raiding Diddy's homes and a tidal wave of allegations breaking through the surface, Dawn's claims have gained new gravity. She's not alone anymore. And the industry's wall of silence? It's beginning to crack. As for Usher, the question lingers. What did he know? And more importantly, why didn't he say anything? Because it's no longer about one man's empire collapsing. It's about how many people helped hold it up and how many lives were crushed in the process. Dawn Richard isn't just suing for damages. She's suing to reveal the system. The headlines came fast. The whispers got louder. And now, the public tide is turning. What started as a distant scandal pin to Sean Diddy Combs has suddenly splashed across the polished shoes of one of R&B's most beloved icons, Usher Raymond. And fans are rattled. Media outlets are scrambling to reframe their tributes. Legal analysts are starting to connect dots that were always there, hidden in plain sight. Because now, it's no longer just about Diddy's alleged crimes. It's about who stood next to him, who stayed silent, and who may have helped cover the tracks. On social media, the backlash has been swift. Clips of Usher laughing with Diddy at private parties now play like scenes from a horror trailer. His past praise of Diddy, once seen as brotherly admiration, has taken on a chilling tone. TikTokers are digging through old footage. Reddit threads are assembling timelines. Tweets have gone viral, demanding to know, what did Usher know, and when did he know it? And then came Gene Deal, the former Bad Boy security guard, now a controversial but consistent voice in the Diddy saga, spoke out in a recent live stream. And what he said sent shockwaves through the fan base. Usher knows more than he's saying, Gene said flatly, staring into the camera like a man who'd seen too much. He was there for a lot of it. And if he don't speak now, he's part of the cover-up. That's all I'm going to say. That statement alone set off alarms across both media and legal circles. Because Gene Deal wasn't guessing. He was there during the golden years, the parties, the flights, the lockdown studio sessions. If anyone would know who saw what behind closed doors, it's Gene. And now the questions multiply. Could Usher be subpoenaed? Will he be called to testify in one of Diddy's growing number of civil or criminal cases? Could he be facing his own legal exposure if he's found to have aided, enabled, or simply stayed quiet? Legal experts say it's possible. If Usher participated in any events where abuse or trafficking occurred and did not intervene, or worse, help facilitate them, he could face criminal conspiracy charges. Even absent of direct involvement, the court of public opinion is unforgiving. In an era where silence is seen as complicity, Usher's reputation may not survive without a bold, clear statement or cooperation with authorities. So far, radio silence. No interviews. No tweets. No, let me clear the air. Just smooth tour promotions and a disappearing act on social platforms. But silence won't protect him forever. Not when the wave is building. Not when the fans are turning. Because this isn't just about cancel culture. It's about accountability. About a generation of stars who operated under the illusion that power could protect them. But now the walls are closing in. The spotlight is burning hotter. And Usher, once the boy wonder of R&B, the mentor, the showman, is now being cast in a very different role. Will he break his silence? Will investigators come knocking? Or will the next shoe to drop be an indictment? One thing's for sure. Usher's legacy is no longer safe. And in the court of public opinion, the verdict is already being written in real time. So here we are. After all the smoke, all the shadows, all the whispers and sealed court filings, we're left with one haunting question. Who is Usher Raymond? Really? Is he just another star caught in the orbit of a powerful predator? A young man thrust into Diddy's world before he could fully understand the price of proximity? Was he groomed too? Manipulated, coerced, and emotionally tethered to a man who gave him the world, only to trap him in it? Or was he something darker? Was Usher not just a bystander, but a gatekeeper? A willing participant who helped maintain the illusion, who said nothing when others cried for help, who kept quiet to keep climbing? Did he know what was happening to Cassie, to Dawn, to the others? And if he did, why didn't he stop it? Why didn't he speak? Is that the silence of a victim or the silence of someone protecting something or someone? Because when you look at the timeline, the luxury, the mentorship, the shared parties, the overlapping legal names, Usher wasn't on the outside looking in. He was in the rooms, on the jets, at the mansions. He was inside the machine. And maybe that's the most unsettling part. The man with the voice of an angel might have helped protect the devil. But here's the part no one wants to say out loud. What if Usher was protecting himself? What if this silence isn't about loyalty, but survival? Because when the feds come knocking, when indictments start flying, every silence becomes a strategy. And every old friend becomes a potential witness or suspect. So we ask again, is Usher a victim, a villain, or both? And more importantly, if he knows something, what will it take to make him talk? Because this story isn't over. The walls are closing in. And the next chapter, it could belong to Usher, or it could bury him. Stay tuned.